15th, 2025, Peter Leclerc, the Vice President Academic for NAIT, Northern Alberta Institute of Technology, held a press conference and announced that they were pausing the second year of their Captioning and Court Reporting program, a 2-year diploma program that boasts 100% employment upon graduation and is the only one of its kind in Canada. With this announcement, little to no follow-up communications, and no clear direction from NAIT, 2 cohorts of the first-year CACR students are now left in limbo, their financial and emotional investments potentially wasted, and their futures uncertain. These are their stories.
I'm Rose. I'm 32, and I'm married with a 2-year-old, pursuing a new career and trying to break out of the typical retail workforce.
Hi, my name is Cindy, and I have completed my first year of court transcription.
My name is Erin Schoengut, and I am a continuing education student in the court reporting and captioning program.
I am Dorinda Bright. I am just finished my second year, but I'm currently working on my speeds.
Hello, my name is Rakia Fossey, and I have just completed my first year of the CACR program and am hoping for it to continue so that I can enter my second year and get my diploma and certification.
I'm Kennedy Thompson. I'm a first-year student at the Captioning and Court Reporting program at NAIT.
My name is Jasmine. I'm a first-year student in the Captioning and Court Reporting program at NAIT.
And my name is Kathleen Milani. I have just completed year 1 of the court transcription program at NAIT.
Hi, my name is Mandy Sweetcoulter, and I'm a graduate of the 2007 court reporting program at NAIT. I've been working as a court reporter ever since, and I currently live and work in the city of Calgary. I'm going to read to you a statement by one of the students that has been affected by the changes that NAIT is considering making. I had never been sure of what I wanted to do as a career, and for most of my life that caused me a lot of stress. I remember my last year of high school like it was yesterday. Everyone around me was applying to universities and making plans for their futures as I panicked and did every career aptitude test I could find on the internet, hoping that something would inspire me. No career felt like the right fit. Eventually, I started working as an insurance broker. I started as an auto sales associate and worked my way up to a personal insurance advisor. I sold home, condo, rental, boat, trailer, and every other type of property insurance. I had my level 2 insurance license, I trained other employees, and I even had my own office. On paper, I was doing well, but something was missing. I didn't feel fulfilled. In 2022, I started to seriously consider changing careers, but I found myself in the same place of just not knowing where to start. I mentioned this to my coworker, and she told me that I should look into court reporting. I went home, did some research, and was immediately intrigued. I signed up for Discover Steno that same day, and every session I attended confirmed what I had been hoping to find for years, a career that truly excited me. I was eager to learn how to use the stenograph, and I was excited about the opportunity to learn something new every day and contribute to the justice system in such a meaningful way. When researching court reporting, I found out that NAIT offers the only program in Canada. This meant that I would have to move from British Columbia, where I had lived my entire life, to Alberta. I applied for the fall 2023 intake, but due to the high demand, I was waitlisted and did not end up getting in at that time. I reapplied later for the fall 2004 intake, and I was accepted. In the summer of 2024, I quit my stable career in insurance. I moved provinces, and I left my family and friends behind to pursue my dream of becoming a court reporter. The court transcription program was intense, but I loved every minute of it. I committed to fully learning the stenograph, preparing transcripts, and understanding how the courtroom and our justice system works. I worked hard and graduated with honors and a 4.0 GPA. Despite all of this, my future in the field is now uncertain. If the Captioning and Court Reporting program is cancelled, I'll be left with a certificate that is essentially useless, as it does not allow me to become a court reporter. If I had known that I would not have had the opportunity to complete the second year, I never would have applied for the court transcription program. I have invested significant time, energy, financial resources into pursuing this dream. I made life-altering decisions based on the belief that this program would lead to a fulfilling career. If it is taken away now, I'll be forced to start over, possibly having to return to BC, recertify, and go back to an industry I deliberately left behind. I understand that there are financial considerations, However, I urge NAIT to consider the human impact this decision will have. At the very least, please allow the current cohort to complete the full program. All we're asking is to finish what we started. After years of uncertainty, I've finally found a career path that I'm passionate about and that I'm excited and eager to pursue. Please don't take that away.
So I was a chef for over a decade. I, at a very young age, really decided that I loved the creative aspect of cooking and, getting to do something a little bit different every day. I actually went to NAIT in Calgary and did the culinary apprenticeship program to get my red seal. And so I worked as a chef in Calgary, and then that took me to Toronto for a couple of years.
I'm what most would consider a mature student, so I'm 38 years old right now. So I started at 36. I have a 6-year-old daughter. My husband works here for an oil and gas company in Calgary. And so really doing online was the only way that I could attend the program. I wasn't going to uproot my whole life to move to Edmonton for 2+ years.
I've done so many different things. I've done personal training, I've done some childcare, some house cleaning, and then I kind of just was never satisfied with any of that. And then I applied, and then I was waitlisted, and I wanted to do it. So I applied again, and I was accepted, and yeah.
I went to UVic. I got a microbiology degree and kind of didn't know where I was going to go from there because I originally wanted to be a naturopath. So I was like, I'm just going to finish my degree, see where that takes me. Got a co-op job with Fisheries and Oceans Canada. And then that set me off on a, let's travel here on Coast Guard ships. And, I got to go on the ocean a lot. And it was really cool. I got to go to the Arctic a couple times and see polar bears.
As I got a little older, I realized that I wanted something maybe with a little bit more of a work-life balance, a little bit more flexibility, being able to see my family and friends on holidays. Over the pandemic, at the beginning, the restaurant that I had been working at shut down. Do I want to stay in Toronto? Do I want to move back to Calgary where my family is?
I felt lost before coming to this program. I have already finished a post-secondary diploma, and that didn't really lead to where I wanted it to. And so in the past few years since then, I've just been doing different jobs and exploring different options before ultimately landing here.
What was your post-secondary diploma in?
Funeral service. I've never really been afraid of death or anything like that. I've been very welcoming of it, but I did go into that right after high school, and maybe part of it was just angst. But it was extremely interesting. The part that I actually really loved was the embalming part, and the funeral directing side not as much.
And then I got pregnant, and so I was like, uh-oh, what's gonna happen? Because I didn't really have a solid job. I had contracts, back-to-back contracts kind of thing. So I didn't have an indeterminate or permanent position to go back to. Did mat leave, and then I was just trying to figure out where I was going to go. And I ended up getting a Service Canada job so I can work from home and working with the Canada Pension Plan Old Age Security. So I get to talk to people on the phone.
It's funny, I actually learned about court reporting when I was 18 and was interested in pursuing that particular career. But at the time I lived in Ontario and there was no such thing as an online program for it. So the only program in Canada that's in English, of course, was in Edmonton at NAIT. So there were a couple of times over the years that I actually tried to arrange to move to Edmonton to do the program, but it just didn't work out.
Probably through TikTok, and I just thought it was very interesting. And then I got more into, I suppose, English and law. I watched Suits, and they feature court reporters there, and I'm like, wow, they're, I suppose, important enough to be a background character or to show realism in these kind of shows. So they're important enough to have their role shown.
So I worked at Dicta Court Reporting actually in the office first off. So I did general office work, scheduling, invoicing, and while I was there and meeting and talking to the court reporters and learning about the job and what it was, in my head I was like, man, these are my people. Like I was like, I have found my spot. Like I wish I would have known about this career in like right out of high school, because this would have been so up my alley. I do have a degree from the University of Calgary. I wouldn't have even gone that route. I would have just gone straight to this.
I looked into this program. I actually had learned about it from an article about the TikTok. So that like kind of clicked. It all kind of clicked when I saw that article, and I was like, wow, this is something that I really wanted to do.
Well, I actually heard about court reporting more so from the captioning CART lens. I was living in Toronto a number of years ago and was at a friend's film premiere. And afterwards they had a sort of like a panel talking about the film. And I looked over and I was like, oh, that's live on the screen. And then I saw someone in the corner and I was like, oh my God, what are they doing? And I got completely distracted from the actual panel and ended up just focusing solely on this person typing on something that I was like, that doesn't look like a computer. And so that was really my first intro into it. Was I just kind of got absorbed into what this person was doing. And then, after the panel, I did some Googling and found out. And then whenever I was, watching a court show or something, I would always kind of like see the court reporter on the side and be like, oh, that's so cool. But it wasn't until moving back to Calgary that I was like, you know what, this is actually the time. I am still very actively interested in this, and I think I'm going to pursue it as a career.
I went to this women's retreat. I met a girl named Debbie there, and she has been a court reporter for the last 20 years, and she was just raving about how awesome it's been, being able to have kids and work from home part-time and still, like sounds like the salary was like exactly what I wanted. And she's like, you're a musician, you probably would pick this up pretty easily. And so turns out after taking the intro, and I was like, oh my God, I like this. I'm going to see where this takes me.
So I'm from Southern Alberta and I grew up there. And then when my sister, after she graduated, she joined the court reporting program and I was about 14. So that's when I first learned about it. And I just thought it was a really cool career. And I really liked the aspect of working from home and choosing your own hours and things. And she really enjoyed it. And so that's kind of what pushed me into doing this as a career.
This is my second sort of career choice. So I spent the first, 15 years of my life in the hospitality industry. And I did an undergrad with a Bachelor of Commerce back in 2010. I studied culinary arts, and I worked in the hospitality industry up until 3 years ago when I decided I just needed a big change. And a friend of mine had been doing some court reporting on the side, and I put that in quotations because he was doing digital court reporting work. So I live in Ontario, and that is the norm. That sort of piqued my interest, just sort of being the fly on the wall during these legal proceedings. Well, then I think like most aspiring court reporters, I got down a rabbit hole. What are how do I make the letter B with the letters P and W? And I'm just totally engrossed with the idea that it's like a whole new language, secret language that I can write super, super fast, and I get to be sort of the fly on the wall in these proceedings and ensure that things don't get misconstrued.
I just completely forgot about its existence until my daughter was born, and I was thinking, okay, what am I going to do once maternity leave's done? Like, my job at the time I got pregnant, they let me go during the pregnancy, so I didn't have that to go back to. I knew that a typical 9-to-5 job wasn't something that I wanted to do. Randomly, a NAIT ad email thing popped up in Gmail one day, and I went, oh yeah, there's that place. I wonder if there's the online version of the program now. And so I looked into it, and yes, there was.
And I knew it was going to be so hard, That's what she kept telling me. She really expressed how hard it was going to be. And before I started, she was like, just, like, this is going to break your soul. Like she might not want me to say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. She used to get eyelash extensions done before she came up to school to Edmonton. And then when she was in school, she had to stop getting them because you have to keep your eyes dry for 24 hours. And she said she couldn't go 24 hours without crying doing these speed tests because it just was so hard. Then I started it and I was like, oh, that actually makes sense. It checks out. It was hard.
I have one kid, and so that's kind of what made this program, that's why it's been so hard, is because I'm a single parent. So she would go to school in the daytime, and then we'd have half an hour, that walk back and forth from school to talk, and then I'm in school all evening, and so we had barely any time, like weekends, but even then I was still doing all my schoolwork, and so.
Again, having a young family, in some ways it was a challenge because the online program is all evenings to 9, 10 o'clock at night sometimes. I mean, there was a lot of sacrifices that my family made and things that I feel like I missed out on in order to pursue this, which kind of again adds to that pressure and that stress with the uncertainty of the program pause. They moved the program online at NAIT, and I knew what a good program the program at NAIT was. Most of the court reporters that I had spoken to had graduated from that program. That was sort of the only choice for me in my head.
In person would have been really difficult for me because I would have had to uproot my life, but I saw they had an online program, so I went ahead and applied. So I had my alarm set, and you best believe I was awake at 5 minutes before it was going to open and to apply, and I got accepted, and then waited another 10 months to begin classes.
Immediately applied for the January 2024 intake, but I didn't get into that intake because it was full.
Except it was full. Like, you had to sign up and wait to get on that course. And then after I took it, I was like, okay, I want to do this. The following semester was full, so I had to wait I think a year and a half.
Come March 2024, I was watching the deadline approaching, had set an alarm, was I'm going to apply at midnight as soon as it opens, and I did, and got accepted right away, and then had to wait 8 months to get into the program from there.
And yeah, now that I've learned a lot more about it, I've just become so much more passionate about it. I'm in all of the Reddits and things like that, so I'm just so invested into it now. It's just incredibly interesting to me, and I love that I also get to participate in justice, I suppose. Yeah, getting people's stories right and making sure that they're heard accurately.
My name is Lindsay Burt, and I am a stenographic court reporter in Edmonton, Alberta. I am also co-owner of Dash Reporting Services and also AV Captioning and Court, and I am a 2012 graduate of the NAIT Captioning and Court Reporting program. I am going to read you a statement from one of the many students affected by NAIT's decision to pause the Captioning and Court Reporting program. I was originally at NAIT in the digital media and IT program until COVID hit. I was midway through the program, and the impact of COVID ultimately led to me being unable to complete the program at the time. After that, I worked odd jobs before taking up a few smaller certificate programs in case I would need them. When I finally began to look back into full-time courses, I was recommended stenography. My family had originally recommended it due to small/minor personal knowledge of it. The smaller amount of prerequisites also made the course more appealing due to being able to jump into it without retaking classes. I applied for the course and was waitlisted for the semester, leading me to continue smaller certificates until I had been accepted. I began in-person classes and originally was incredibly nervous about the process, having realized I knew far less about stenography than originally thought. Despite this, I found the course engaging and incredibly fulfilling. Despite the stresses, the passion of the program and the field that was shown by both the second-year students and the teachers was infectious and motivating. The day the decision was made, I was out shopping for groceries. It was genuinely like cold water being dropped on the head. The announcement coming during our break before the testing course felt like insult to injury. It was upsetting and distressing, especially with how obviously upset our instructors were about the announcement too. It felt blindsiding and out of left field. I discussed with my family about the news, and they shared my grief. The opportunities spoken of and provided by this course and the community with it felt like a second chance for many, including myself. With health issues impacting me, especially after COVID, this job felt not only like a viable option, but one I could truly feel passionate about and proud of. Having that ripped out from under our feet was ultimately terrifying. The news has left me in limbo. I'm actively back to job hunting and working with my family to figure out where I could go and what I could do. With the course being cut halfway through finishing, it feels as if we've been left in the dark with nowhere to go. The support from NAIT has been somewhat non-existent, and it feels like there's no particular direction to go. It feels like treading water currently. I'm holding hope that perhaps this decision will be reversed and that perhaps the students left in this strange limbo will be offered support and help to finish what they started. It's hard to even put into words what could be said had I been in the room when the decision was made. I can't encompass the feeling my peers had, and it would be impossible for me to express each of our different stories and the way our lives were being impacted by it. This decision has definitely changed the way people approach NAIT, even outside of our course. It sends a pretty poor message to students and the general public about how the school values their students and future workers. Thank you.
And that was how it, in my mind, and how it had been marketed to me. It was a 2-year program. It wasn't until all of this kerfuffle started that I think many of us were told that no, it's actually a split program. For at least for my cohort, when we had started in our first semester for the first year, this was pre-program pause, but we had been told that the program start date was going to be moving. So there was a whole bunch of change and flip-flopping of, oh, you are going to have your gap semester. No, you're not going to have your gap semester. Oh, maybe the program isn't happening. Oh, no, it is happening, but you aren't going to have your gap semester.
And then a couple of girls from the program texted me and they were like, did you get the email from NAIT? Oh my gosh, like I can't believe this. This is crazy. So then after work, I read the email and it just said, we're not sure about the program, it's under advisement, we're gonna see what happens. And then everyone was messaging the teachers and the teachers did a Zoom meeting all together. And they talked about it and they said, it's probably not gonna be up and running in September and they're gonna go before Board of Education in September and see what happens. And I was distraught. And so I actually went to Crumble Cookie immediately and I bought 4 full Crumble cookies and ate them all that night, they're like 1,500 calories each. Since the program pause, I stopped testing over the summer to reach my 140. They didn't tell anybody about the press conference, not the teachers or anybody, and the students that showed up at the press conference were only informed of that because one of the students in our program had a connection to global news and they were able to hear about it. And so 4 students from our program showed up, but there was nobody from any other program, no instructors, nothing.
That was news for us in particular because the whole reason I was able to do this program was because it was online evenings, because my husband is also a student and he's full-time day student. So he's in class during the day and I'm watching the little one. And then in the evenings, I go into class and he watches the little one. And so when I found out that they were removing the evening side and making us just online day in September and there would be no January intake, there were a lot of factors involved there, not even just, oh, I have to get the speeds, but rather, what do we do with the little one? Because now we're both supposed to be in classes during the day. I was looking at potentially not being able to go into the year 2 in September because of not being able to like arrange daycare fast enough. It was so disappointing when the news came out at the end of May or middle of May, something like that, that year 2 wasn't happening actually at all. There was just so much that had been shuffled around in my life to try and accommodate something that was already just thrown at us. And then when we even tried to reach out about how it was impacting us, we got a really dismissive response back, just explaining how, oh, it was just a misunderstanding on our part about how the programs connect, and oh no, this doesn't impact you at all because you still get the certificate. That's all well and good, but I didn't come into this program for the certificate. So like I never ever would have come into this if I'd known that the year 2 was not going to be offered, because it's pointless.
Because we had a little Zoom meeting with our instructors, and the instructors seemed very disheartened about the whole thing, and I immediately called Presley. And I was like, did you hear this? And she was like, I had no idea. I haven't heard anything about it. And so she texted, she has a big group chat of a bunch of court reporters, and she texted them and told them, and she was like, this is so crazy. Everyone's losing their minds about this. Like, this is so unheard of. We don't know what's happening. And
I have felt a lot of anxiety and sort of uncertainty about what's going to happen and what, being this close to being done, just like, is this the last time? Like, is this the last semester I get to test? What is happening? What is happening in September? Do I need to cut my losses and just start challenging the RPR? Right? Like, that's kind of where I've been at. And it's been really hard to focus and to succeed in an already sort of stressful and challenging environment as far as speed testing is concerned, when you kind of have that hanging over your head, especially when it comes to like testing anxiety, right?
I don't know that it affected me me immediately, but I was one test away from never being given this opportunity. Like, I have classmates that were still doing their testing to get into the second year, and now they can't. Now they're not able to join me, and I feel for them, and that's really heartbreaking. Like,
it's really stressful. It's been really, really frustrating. And, this was sort of my, I'm in my mid-30s now, and this is a big career change. And this was hopefully going to be the change for me, right? That this was going to be this sort of next chapter. I go to school, I get this education in the 2.5 years that it might take me, maybe 3, depending on how quickly I speed build. And then I can go out and into the field and, begin living my life. And that doesn't feel like it's a possibility now with my future so up in the air.
Some people are dropping off because they're like, it's not worth it, so then it wears on my motivation to keep going too. So it has been extra stressful because of that. Yeah, I would say they're just left in limbo.
And so now, having gone through almost 2 years of having my sights set on becoming a stenographic court reporter, it feels a bit like a participation ribbon. We're just gonna close the race here. Yeah, it's been a lot. Like, I think I wouldn't still be enrolled if it weren't for my classmates.
I know that some people have already started pivoting, maybe going to different schools, finding different paths. Some people are more like me, they're just holding on, seeing what the final result will be before they start moving on. But from the way that it's been handled by NAIT, there's not much transparency. It just seems like they're not very open to discussion. They're just making the decisions and then presenting them to us. I was in the middle of my 120s when the program got canceled. And I had enrolled in the summer program. And actually, right before the summer program started, I bought a new laptop because I was using a super old laptop. And I actually never bought Case Catalyst through the school year. I just did all of my practicing and all of my studying and work at the school. And so that was really nice, and I saved some money on that. But then right before the summer program started, I bought Case Catalyst, I bought a new laptop, and then like 2 weeks later, the program was canceled. Honestly, I feel like I won't even pursue it. Like, I think I haven't contacted any courts or anything or tried to be a scopist on anything. I think I'll just take this year as a bummer and move on and do something else. My end goal was to be working like in the courts or like doing depositions probably and like questionings. But yeah, I wouldn't have done it just to be a scopist. That's not a job that I want to have. I want to have like more of a full-time job than doing just scoping.
I don't think anybody had the intention of doing half the program. Like, as I see it, it's a diploma program, but it has the flexibility of doing the first year, you don't have to do it back to back. I'm still going to keep going and working on my speeds. And then I'm just hoping there's a decision to keep the program at least. And if it's more expensive, then, that is what happens.
I wrote many heartfelt letters to the president, the head of academic council, to our dean, and then to other like the Ministry of Education in Alberta, who isn't obviously working at NAIT. But I only received one response, and that was from our dean, and it was a canned response. It was a mass response that went out to, as far as I know, everyone who had wrote them. And then I didn't hear anything back from the president's office or the academic council, the president of the academics. So that in itself is very disconcerting. Also, as a student who is paying NAIT tuition right now for my extension testing course, I have no idea who my program chair is. I have no idea who to contact about marks like from last semester if they didn't show up on my academic record. I don't know who, like, I just don't know. There hasn't been communication. We're stuck in limbo, and it feels like we've already been shafted and just, like, sure, you can stay here if you pay us money, but at the end of the day, like, we're not going to do anything to sort of help propel you forward or to solve any issues for you, because you're already a dead man walking, to use that idiom. So
I know somebody who has 4 kids and like they put in so much time for this, and they were one test away and then they couldn't complete it, and now she's put in all that time for nothing. Like, now she can't do anything. She was going to continue, just hoping that it wasn't going to be paused. Like, she was hoping that it was going to resume. And then, she just took a step back. She's not doing this at all anymore. She's into nursing, but all that time and all that time away from her family and all that money and all that stuff that she poured into this to get nothing. And I've also spoken to somebody else who had said that they have had 0 luck getting a job with just the certificate. They've tried. There's nothing. They can't do anything. And I've spoken to somebody else who has gotten the certificate, and then they couldn't do anything, but they did do a proofreading course so that they could get a job, but that's a course offered through something else that's not even related to NAIT. I would have never went into this program with the intention of just getting a certificate. Like, that's not, they didn't even say that there was any kind of work for that after the first year. Like, it was just a prerequisite for the second year. Like, it was never listed as something that you could just go off and work with. Like, it was not the goal.
I don't have time during the day to come over and practice and stuff like that, or do homework generally. So, like, I don't get to start my school day until 5 o'clock at night. And then I'm in class until 8 or 9. And then from there, I put the little one to bed, and then I'm back at my desk. I'm practicing, I'm doing homework, I'm studying, and I'm up to like 2, 3 a.m. doing these things just to make it through the program. And, there's been a lot of sacrifice. And it's like, okay, well, hopefully this pays off somehow, some way, because right now I'm just sitting with a certificate that nobody wants to hire us with.
I think it was always paused with the intention to suspend. So even, from the beginning, it didn't seem like there was much of a discussion to be had, if that was their ultimate goal. I got my certificate in the mail. So I don't know. I think I'll just move on and be done with that. If I can't do the second year, I don't want to be doing kind of half a job. Like, that was never my intention. And so I don't want to do that if that wasn't what I was planning on doing. I'll just take the loss on that and then move on to something else. This program was very specific, and it wasn't like I was taking a sciences degree at the U of A and just gonna come out with a degree of science. And I've talked to a ton of kids who, they're like, I'm in my 3rd year of sciences or whatever, and I'm like, oh, what job do you want? What do you want to do with that? And they're like, I have no idea, not a clue. But NAIT, it was like, you're going to be a court reporter. That's what it was. That's what I was going to be. That was the program. That was the point. And so just for it to be canceled sucks, because there's nothing else I can do with that.
I sacrificed so much time with my toddler Like, she wasn't even a year and a half old when I started the program. And the early years I know are the most important for her. And I knew that I was sacrificing time with her for this program with the hopes that it would pay off with a career that would be more flexible and give me more time with her overall. So that's been really difficult. Like, and she's so attached to me, having to power through practice and tests and class while she's, screaming and crying at the gate because she wants me and I have to ignore her. Like, it's been brutal.
I didn't spend the last 2 years, 2.5 years after like enrolling for the first time, doing the course through Ontario, and then finally getting to start my classes in NAIT. I didn't do all of that to be given a court transcription year one certificate, which only has a 76% employment rate after graduation, as per the NAIT website. No, I did all of this to get my 2-year diploma with a 100% employment rate, because it is 100% employment. The amount of graduates that I've talked to who are now working saying that they were hired before they had even finished school, like, that is a dream. And NAIT should be wearing that with pride. Like, that's an incredible honor. Like, there's not that many technical colleges that can boast that statistic.
It doesn't make any sense. Everyone I tell this to, they're always like, why didn't they you had one more year left. Just let you finish. Like, just grandfather it out and like, then tell everyone the next year that they're not doing the second year. Like, start it fresh next year. But why I will never understand why they wouldn't just let us finish our second year and then be done with that. And even I've talked to some people who are coming into the program this year, and they were saying that they hadn't heard anything about it being just the first year. They still think it's 2 years. Like, there are some people that still think that they're gonna go into it getting a court reporting degree or like certificate or whatever. They're not. And so I feel like NAIT really needs to be better about communication and coming out and saying, like, this is all it is. You're not getting any more.
The way that they have treated us as the year ones has been really awful. They've basically dismissed us and said, no, this doesn't impact you. You're getting your certificate. What's your problem? Like, and even with us trying to explain how it impacts us, and like this assumption that, oh, well, most of the students don't even go to year 2 anyway, so you guys are just whatever. When I know from my cohort in particular, the vast majority of us were fully, completely intending to go year 2. There's been no communication to us, the year ones, hardly at all. There's been no sympathy from NAIT towards us, or any sort of empathy or anything like that. It's just been completely dismissive and brushing us off like we don't matter.
If there was any other option, like if they redo the second year of this court reporting program, I would, because I want to finish it. But if there's any other option anywhere else, and if they weren't doing the court reporting program there, I would never do anything with NAIT again. There's just no trust there.
I feel like I can speak for the majority of my classmates when I say it felt like our world just came crumbling down. Like, I calculated the number of hours of practice just on the machine that I have done since January 4th, or whenever I had said that the day started, or the cohort started. And so it was 715 hours of work just on the machine. And that's almost 30 days, 30 full days. Like, that's wild to me. And that doesn't include the 765 hours of synchronous classes and like the supplemental academic courses like English, transcript production. So just to have, like your entire world has just been focusing on this for the past 5 months, however long, until they gave us this news. and then all of a sudden the rug is just being pulled out from under us. No one could focus. We couldn't focus. Like, my grades slipped after getting that message. And I remember Joanne saying to us, trying to keep our chins up, just saying, like, basically, don't let them ruin your dreams. Yeah, so it stayed with me, obviously. And so just staying in this extension course now and trying to catch up, so this isn't the end of my journey.
My name is Elisa Mueller. I graduated from the NAIT's Captioning and Court Reporting program in 2008. I am a certified court reporter with the Alberta Court of King's Bench and also the Supreme Court of the Northwest Territories. I would like to read in a statement from Shannon, a CACR student who did not wish to appear on camera. And this is her story. In 2017, I graduated from the Legal Assistant Diploma program at CACR. My favorite courses there were those that focused on legal writing and transcription. It was also at CACR that I first learned of court reporting as a profession. I was instantly interested and appreciated how well respected the profession was among the other members of the legal industry. At the time, though, NAIT did not offer a distance or online option, and with my husband's job, there really wasn't an opportunity for us to move back to Edmonton to pursue it. Shortly after completing my practicum, my spouse received the opportunity to apply for a 5-year-long position in Tokyo. I accompanied him there, and as I was unable to work, spent my time learning Japanese, achieving the JLPT2 certification. Upon our return to Canada in November 2024, I spent months applying for many jobs, including service work, grocery, entry-level legal assistant, everything. The job market wasn't great, and I revisited NAIT's court reporting program, happy to see that it was still going. I applied for both the online and in-person intakes, got waitlisted for both, and got off the waitlist late August 2024. Since September 2024, I've spent hours upon hours learning, practicing, dreaming steno. I borrowed money from my should-be retired parents to fund this. This investment doesn't stop with just the student's time. It is a soul-searching journey, combining elements of sport, musical, or language training, requiring a lot of dedication. NAIT's decision to pause the program while we are in the middle of it has been absolutely crushing. As a mature student, now 39 years old, attempting to upskill and rejoin an extremely unfavorable job market after 5 years abroad, it has left me feeling completely hopeless.
Just look at the support for this program. Look at the amount of people that are asking you to unpause it, to keep this going. There's a lot of work out there for people who want to do this, and there's a lot of people that want to do this, and unfortunately, it's not easy. So it's going to take time, but there are people that need this program. There are people that require this to finish what they started. 2 years for nothing? Oh gosh, that would be devastating. That would be very devastating. I don't even know what I would do.
I want them to acknowledge us. I want them to understand the impact that this is having on us as the year ones coming into this program who are walking through this change right in the middle of it. I want them to understand the impact that it's having on us. I want them to actually acknowledge us and do something for us. I don't understand why, if they're going to make these huge changes in the middle of a set of students coming in, why aren't they allowing us year ones to go through with year two and then cut it off from there? It's not fair what they're doing. It's completely ridiculous to expect us to just be like, oh yeah, this doesn't affect us. I don't understand where that thinking is coming from, and I hope that they will actually look into the impact. And, you know, just the best thing for us in all of this would be for them to open up year 2 for the year 1s that are currently in the middle of the program, who had no knowledge coming in that anything was changing, because otherwise they haven't done their job. They haven't provided what was promised to us in education. Like, yes, the two are separate, but they're linked, very closely linked. You can't have one without the other. Like, you cannot register in year 2 without doing year 1, and therefore to call them completely separate is ridiculous. I didn't go into this program to get a certificate, and the majority of people that go into this program don't do it for a certificate either. It's for year 2, and whether or not they get there, that comes down to a lot of factors. But the reality is that almost every single person registering in year 1 has aspirations to do year 2 and become a court reporter, a real-time writer, you know, whatever that looks like. Yeah, ultimately, I just hope that it's understood how much we have put into this and how much we were expecting to go through into year 2, and how this is leaving us in such a limbo and a really unfair state. So yeah, I really hope that they consider opening up year 2 just for us year 1s to finish out the program, and then they can do whatever they want from there.
I would like to see them communicate better, to be honest. I would like to see a little bit more transparency and honesty in their decisions and why they're coming to that decision. I mean, I feel like a lot of the communication, I've attended a few like sessions with NAIT, and in those sessions, there's definitely compassion and understanding for the students and the position that we're in. But I also feel like they're taking ownership of the lack of communication and the abrupt pause, but they're not really saying what they're going to do about it. They're just saying like, oh, we'll do better kind of next time, is sort of the vibe that I'm getting. I feel like there are people who just finished year 1 who throughout their entire admission process and for the majority of year 1 were under the impression that if they made the requirements in a really tough program, that there would be a year 2 for them to go into, and it was kind of pulled out from under them. And I don't think that that's fair, or acting with any kind of integrity, honestly. Like, it just feels they came into the program under false pretenses in a way. And I think some recognition of that, and perhaps, you know, maybe allowing year 2 to continue this semester, like this year, and then like pausing admission for the following year. Like, you know, it feels in some ways like they say they understand, but they don't really understand. And I feel that that's sort of their whole approach to the program. They say they get it and they understand, but sometimes I don't feel like they actually get it just by their actions and the things that they say. It's like, okay, no, you actually don't understand the program and how it works and how hard it is.
I would just say the main part is the unfairness of it and how it affected so many people's lives so greatly. Like, I can't imagine that they could grasp how it affected people and how it so derailed everyone's lives and so many people. Because even I was actually down in Southern Alberta, and I was just at a store and got talking to a lady, and the girl behind me was like, and I was telling her about my schooling, and the girl behind me was like, what, you're in the court reporting program? I'm in the court reporting program, and I've been trying to get my speeds for literally years. Like, she did the first year and she was doing it all online, and she was like, I just need to pass my speeds and then I'm done. But then they canceled it. And so she was like, this has been my life for years. And she had a family, she had children. Like, it just is affecting so many people and derailing lives. And I think it's so unfair what NAIT is doing and how they're just getting away with it. I truly hope that they don't get away with it. And I hope that the message gets out to everyone that NAIT is unfair and doesn't care about their students in the least.
You know, at the end of the day, I understand that NAIT is a business. And they have every right to make whatever business decision they deem fit. But at the end of the day, it is a business of education. And I personally feel very betrayed by an institution that I decided to dedicate 2 years of my life to, and, you know, dedicate years of paying off debt to a future career. And it's just been very disheartening the lack of communication, seeing, all of the amazing instructors that have been let go, and the, honestly, the emotional impact that it's had on myself and my fellow classmates, and how stressful this entire situation has been. And that, also impacted our grades in our past semesters, because how are you supposed to stay motivated and focused and excited for your education when you truly might be doing it for nothing?
From my point of view, it feels like this whole pausing of programs, the general vibe that I get is that it might be a money grab and that it doesn't really align with the message that they give of we'll support you the whole journey. I just got the welcome email for this semester, and it's like, we're supporting you all the way, and it just feels like an eye roll. So I don't feel supported at all. And I just feel so bad for, the other students that are enrolled in this program that were ready to give this 100% right away. Yeah, it's just a lot of disappointment, and it just doesn't feel like they care at all, really.
I think that they should, have just a very earnest conversation with the instructors and learn a bit more about the industry and its importance in our justice system. I would hope that the students just keep fighting for what we deserve. Our program especially hasn't been given a fair hand in terms of the teach out that other programs are being given, and that I think we deserve more of a direct response, especially because there's been so many people trying to contact them and trying to give them the facts, that it just doesn't seem like these factors are being considered, and that we're just being put in with all these other programs which are also equally as undeserving, but this program is just fundamentally different.
At the beginning of the year, when they had said, we're going to integrate the online cohort into the in-person, there'd be kind of a hybrid class or hybrid system. Follow through with that. Follow through with that. If that's what you were initially saying, then do that. But then on the other hand, that was not the option. That was not what was first offered. What was first offered was the second year. So if you're going to take it away, you're going to need to give some people time to plan for that. Make sure you're not accepting any more first years that are anticipating going into the second year, and then don't just rip it out from underneath of everybody and hope that that'll be okay. Follow through with your commitments.
And I really do feel like everyone involved wants to come to the table with solutions and is willing to be flexible and figure it out. And it feels like the big roadblock right now is NAIT, and they're not the ones who are willing to come to the table and help us figure out how to make this program viable and make it all the things that they want it to be, with also an understanding that it's not like other programs, So they're not even coming to the conversation. I would like to tell them to have compassion for the students and to understand how hard this program is, not only from an academic perspective, but also from a life perspective. It's very intense. It's I gave up a lot to do this, and I know that there's a lot of students who are in the same boat, and to be a woman who can make a decent living is a big deal, especially, I'm lucky I have a partner and I have kids, but there's single moms that are in my program, right? To take that away. And really, the other thing I would tell them is just read the stakeholder letters that were sent to you. Read the letters from the deaf and the hard of hearing community. Read the letters from the lawyers. They're telling you that AI is not good enough. They're telling you that they need this service and that this program is important and the graduates are important. And they do a better job than I ever could of explaining that,
I really hope that the powers that be that are going to be voting on the future of this program really take to heart everyone that has reached out. And I am one of the people who's written, I think it's over 100 letters at this point, advocating for this program, that, they make the right decision to bring back the program. And you know what, if at the end of the day, you don't want to bring back the program completely, at least let everyone who started finish.
It's tragic to know that I'm 1 year of education away from making at least 3 to 5 times what I am right now. And that it's, after completing the first year, I know that it's achievable for me. I know that I can absolutely do it, but I don't have the opportunity to do that anymore.
When I told them my program was canceled, they were like, oh, it's because of AI. Like AI is taking your job. It's not. It's because NAIT was cheap and cutting budgets, and it's a totally just a NAIT thing. It's not an AI thing. AI is not strong enough to take over court reporters.
What does NAIT stand for if it's not to cultivate the passion that these students already have? If it's not to cultivate for the students to graduate in a program that offers this 100% employment rate, if NAIT doesn't stand for getting students graduated out the door to help society in one of the most impactful ways that I can think about for the justice system that is already under such stress financially, then why wouldn't NAIT jump at this opportunity to be like the one? Why wouldn't they jump? Why wouldn't you, NAIT president, dean, and president of academics, why wouldn't you fight for this program that's so special? And we're all here and we want to give you our money to just put us into society and let us make a difference, and then tell everyone that we learned this at NAIT, that we get to make a difference because of NAIT.
My name is Sasha Churchill. I graduated from the NAIT Captioning and Court Reporting program in 2014. Ever since then, I've been working as a court reporter in Edmonton. Many of the students have been impacted by the changes and proposed changes to the NAIT Captioning and Court Reporting, or CACR program. One of the students wanted to share their story, and I'm going to read that for you now. After being a stay-at-home mom to my daughter for 9 years, I was faced with a divorce. I was not prepared for this, as many aren't, and I was terrified about what this would mean going forward. How was I going to make money to support myself and my child? What would I do for a job? So the search started. I had my list of ideal criteria. I wanted a career that would allow me some flexibility with my personal life. I wanted a career that wouldn't be a long study time, less than 2 years was preferable, and I wanted something that had an online option, so again, it allowed me some flexibility while studying. CACR checked off all of those criteria for me, and the part I was really interested in was the closed captioning training that came with second year. I was on the wait list for the winter intake and got in very last minute, just weeks before the winter start date. I jumped at the chance. The sooner I could get started, the sooner I could be out in the workforce and providing for myself and my child. I finished the first semester with honors, and I was so proud of this achievement. Through the personal life challenges I was continuing to go through, I was so proud of making it through. We had also been informed partway through this first semester of some changes that would be coming to the program. Changes that were frustrating and definitely unfair to our class in particular, but still I pushed on. Second semester began, and literally the bomb dropped on us about the program being paused, and we all know it's heavily pointing towards being cancelled. I think that's been the vibe I've gotten the entire time. I believe that my performance definitely suffered as a direct result of this decision, of the announcement, almost all of which were dropped on us without warning, and of my personal struggles. It's hard to remain focused when you're unsure there's even a point to it all anymore. When the prize at the end of the hard work is taken away, then what is the actual point of putting the back-breaking effort in? This is not an easy course by any stretch of the imagination. The more the industry began to speak out about the possible impacts, etc., the less I felt motivated to continue making a sacrifice, knowing that I would for absolute sure be out a full year of my studies and possibly longer if the program was not brought back. I came to the realization that for me, I didn't have the luxury of time. I needed to be out in the working world. This was no longer serving me, as industry professionals reiterated that simply a certificate in the field would not warrant a job. Definitely not one that would help me support myself and my child. It felt like every time I turned around, there was something new that served as a blow to my drive, motivation, and trust in this program. What was the actual point of sacrificing precious time with my child for nothing? I knew I needed to switch to a new career. I needed to find something else that I could start in September and move on. It was very upsetting to let go of the CACR program. I entered into it in good faith, and all I wanted was to be successful in this career. I ended up dropping the program midway through second semester, choosing to save my mental health for the rest of summer and start fresh in September. I am so disappointed and let down by this institution. I feel like there were things known before, and if I had known that there wouldn't have been a second year, I wouldn't have chosen this program. Not only did I waste money investing in this career, I bought a new laptop, a second monitor, and anything recommended that would help me succeed. I gave up precious time with my child. I believe myself, along with all my other classmates, should be reimbursed at the very least the money we invested in this program.
I do feel so bad for the instructors, especially because, and even just on the Zoom call that we had with Joanne where she was explaining what was happening, you could just tell that she was on the verge of tears, and she was like, she had worked so hard for this, and this was her job. Like, people lost their jobs. Because me, it's just my education and my whole future, and that really sucks. But this is like her career that she had been working at, and it was just gone, and she seemed just as blindsided as the rest of us, and that is just so upsetting for everyone involved.
I'm grateful for the instructors for showing up every day. I can imagine that it's not an easy time for them, and there's a lot of uncertainty that affects them as well.
They have been the best instructors that I have experienced, and I am so thankful for everything that they have put into this program, because you can really tell that their heart and soul is really in it. And they genuinely care about our progress and seeing us move through, and the industry as a whole. I've never encountered a program and a class and instructors that are so closely knit, so linked, like it almost feels like a second family in a way. And I just can only imagine the heartbreak that all of this has for them. So, I want instructors to know that we really appreciate everything that they've done for us, and continuing to teach at the same caliber, even with all of the uncertainty above their heads and the difficulty they were facing. I appreciate them staying strong for us and continuing to fight for the program, on whatever that looks like going forward, and fighting for the industry itself.
Subject to further engagement with NAIT, the future of the first-year CACR students is adjourned. We are now off the record.